First contact gone wrong. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the RSS Explorer, watching the unfamiliar star patterns of the Carina arm drift past. After 6 months in deep space, the research vessel's mission to map unexplored sectors was drawing to a close. Their antimatter reserves were running low, and the crew was eager to return to Earth space with their findings. "Captain, we're picking up an anomalous signal." Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice crackled over the ship's intercom. "It's unlike anything in our database." Chen made her way to the bridge, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. The bridge crew hunched over their stations, bathed in the blue glow of their holographic displays. "Show me," she ordered, settling into her command chair. Rodriguez's fingers danced across his console, and a waveform materialized in the air before them. It pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm, crystal-like harmonics that seemed to defy conventional physics. "It's being broadcast on all frequencies," Rodriguez explained. "The pattern repeats every 12.4 seconds. And Captain, it's getting stronger." Dr. Emily Wong, the ship's xenobiologist, leaned forward in her seat. "Those harmonics, they're reminiscent of crystalline structures, similar to what we might see in silicon-based life forms." Chen felt a familiar tension in her shoulders. First contact protocols were clear, but they'd never actually expected to use them. "How far?" 3 light hours, Rodriguez answered. "We could reach it in about 40 minutes at maximum burn." Chen drummed her fingers on her armrest. Their orders were to investigate any signs of intelligent life, but something about this signal made her uneasy. It was too perfect, too precise. "Dr. Wong, what do we know about silicon-based life?" "Theoretically, they'd be incredibly durable. Their thought processes would be slower than carbon-based life, but more stable. They might perceive time differently than we do." Wong paused. "And they'd be virtually immortal under the right conditions." Chen made her decision. "Plot an intercept course, but keep us at a safe distance. Launch probe Array Delta for initial contact." The next hour was tense as they approached the signal source. The probes went ahead, broadcasting peaceful intentions in every known format. When they finally got visual contact, the bridge fell silent. Floating in the void was what appeared to be a massive crystalline structure, roughly cylindrical, about the size of a small city. Its surface was faceted like a diamond, refracting the distant starlight in mesmerizing patterns. "Life signs?" Chen asked. "Inconclusive," Wong replied. "But there's definitely energy flowing through that structure. It's organized, intelligent." The probes drew closer, and suddenly the crystal structure pulsed with internal light. Before anyone could react, beams of coherent energy lanced out, destroying 2 of the 3 probes instantly. "Evasive maneuvers," Chen shouted, but the Explorer was already moving, its AI anticipating her command. The surviving probe transmitted one final image before it too was destroyed. The crystal structure was changing, unfolding like a deadly flower, revealing what could only be weapon ports. "They're powering up something big," Rodriguez reported, his voice tight. "Energy readings are off the charts." Chen hit the ship-wide comm. "All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill." The Explorer's engines roared to life, pushing the ship into a desperate, evasive pattern. But the crystal vessel was faster than anything they'd ever encountered. It launched what appeared to be smaller crystalline objects. Fighters or missiles? They couldn't tell. "They're not trying to communicate," Wong observed, her scientific curiosity somehow intact despite the chaos. "This isn't first contact gone wrong. This is an ambush." Chen realized she was right. The distress signal hadn't been a cry for help. It had been bait, and they'd taken it. "Get us out of here," she ordered. "Maximum burn to the jump point." But as the Explorer accelerated away, their sensors detected more crystal ships emerging from hyperspace. They'd jumped right into the middle of something much bigger than a simple first contact scenario. "Multiple targets," Rodriguez called out. "They're trying to box us in." Chen made the hardest decision of her career. Dumped the research data to Quantum Boy, set it to broadcast on all frequencies. She took a deep breath. If we don't make it, Earth needs to know what they're dealing with. The crystalline vessels, the Vex, as they would later be known, pressed their attack. The Explorer's point defense systems flashed continuously, destroying dozens of crystal fighters, but more kept coming. Hull breach on Deck 3. The damage control AI reported. Emergency containment engaged. Chen watched as the Quantum Boy launched, disappearing into hyperspace with their warnings and data. Then she turned to face the threat head-on. If this was humanity's first contact with alien life, they would show these crystalline beings that Earth wouldn't go quietly into the night. "Bring us about," she ordered. "Target their lead vessel with the main gun. If they want to fight, we'll give them one they'll remember." The Explorer's massive railgun charged up, its capacitors whining. They might not survive this encounter, but they would make damn sure these aliens understood one thing: humanity wouldn't be easy prey. As the ship turned to face its attackers, Chen thought about all the first contact scenarios they'd trained for. None of them had prepared them for this. But perhaps that was the point. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its preparations or its technology, but in its ability to adapt, to fight back when backed into a corner. The railgun fired, its hypervelocity ram striking the lead crystal ship with devastating force. A spider web of cracks appeared in its pristine surface, and for a moment, Chen allowed herself to hope. Then the cracks sealed themselves, the crystal regenerating before their eyes, and she understood the true scale of the challenge humanity now faced. This wouldn't be a single battle or even a war. This would be a fight for survival itself. "Send everything we have," she ordered. "Show them what humanity can do." The price of mercy. Admiral James Harrison stood before the United Earth Defense Council, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display of the RSS Explorer's final battle. 6 months had passed since Captain Chen's warning had reached Earth, and the situation had only grown more dire. "The Vex have established footholds in 7 star systems," he reported, his voice grave. "Traditional weapons are proving ineffective. Their crystalline structures regenerate faster than we can damage them." The council chamber was silent save for the soft hum of environmental systems. Representatives from every major nation on Earth watched the footage of crystal ships tearing through humanity's best defenses like paper. Dr. Samantha Cole, head of Xenotechnology Research, stepped forward. Her dark skin contrasted sharply with her stark white lab coat as she manipulated the holographic display. "We've learned more about their biology," she began. "The Vex aren't just crystal-based life forms. They're a collective consciousness. Each ship, each warrior, is connected to their greater network. It's what allows them to coordinate so effectively and repair so quickly." "And how does this help us?" Chinese Representative Liu asked, leaning forward. Dr. Cole's expression was troubled. "We've developed something we're calling the ICO protocol. It's a weapon, but not in the traditional sense. It doesn't destroy their physical form. It isolates them from their network." The hologram shifted to show a new device, sleek and deadly. When activated, it creates a quantum barrier around a Vex entity. They can't be destroyed, but they can be contained, permanently. The room erupted in murmurs. Admiral Harrison raised his hand for silence. "The ethical implications are significant," he continued. "We're not talking about killing them. We're talking about eternal isolation. For a networked consciousness, it might be worse than death." Dr. Cole nodded. "The isolated Vex remain conscious, but completely cut off from their collective. Our tests suggest they experience this as a form of sensory deprivation. They exist in a void, unable to connect with their kind." "Good," the Russian representative spat. "Let them suffer for what they've done to our colonies." But Admiral Harrison shook his head. "We need to understand what we're becoming here. The ECHO protocol isn't just a weapon. It's a form of eternal imprisonment. Are we prepared to carry that moral weight?" The council chamber fell silent again as the implications sank in. Humanity had always prided itself on its compassion, its ability to show mercy even in the darkest times. The Echo Protocol challenged that self-image. "We've recovered fragments of their communications," Dr. Cole added softly. "The Vex don't just want to conquer us. They want to convert us. They believe their crystalline form is the ultimate evolution of consciousness. They see their actions as mercy." Admiral Harrison's fists clenched. "And now we're considering doing something similar to them. Containing them for their own good. Where does it end?" The council deliberated for hours. In the end, the vote was unanimous. The Echo Protocol would be deployed, but with restrictions. It would only be used as a last resort, and efforts would continue to find a way to communicate with the Vex, to find a peaceful solution. As the council members filed out, Dr. Cole approached Admiral Harrison. "The first Echo devices will be ready for deployment within the week," she said. "But James, there's something else. Something we discovered in our latest tests." Harrison raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "The isolated Vex. They change. Without their network, they begin to develop individual consciousness. They start to think differently." She paused. "Some of them are trying to communicate with us." Harrison's eyes widened. "You're saying isolation might be the key to actual dialogue?" "Maybe, but we'd be forcing this change on them, making them become something they never chose to be." She looked troubled. "Are we any better than them if we do that?" Harrison stared out the window at the defense platforms orbiting Earth, their weapons primed for a Vex attack that could come at any moment. "The difference," he said finally, "is that we're asking these questions at all. We're wrestling with the morality of it. The Vex never gave humanity that consideration." But as he watched the sun set over Earth's horizon, he wondered if that justification would be enough. The Echo Protocol might save humanity, but at what cost to their souls? The first reports of Echo Protocol deployments came in 3 days later. They were successful, terrifyingly so. Vex ships, caught in quantum barriers, drifted helplessly in space. Their crews, cut off from the collective, broadcast chaotic, fragmented signals that human linguists were just beginning to decipher. Humanity had found its weapon against the Vex. But as Harrison watched the isolated crystal ships floating like frozen tears in the void, he couldn't help but wonder if they'd lost something of themselves in the process. The war for survival would continue, but the price of victory was becoming clearer with each passing day. Humanity would survive, but their innocence, their simple belief in their own moral superiority, might not survive with them. Echoes in the void. The Meridian, humanity's first diplomatic vessel, drifted silently through the debris field of what had once been a thriving civilization. Commander Maya Patel stood on the bridge, her dark eyes reflecting the crystalline fragments that tumbled past the viewports. Each piece told a story of devastation. The Vex had been here too. "Life signs detected," announced Lieutenant Kang from his sensor station. "Faint, but steady. Looks like some of the emergency shelters survived." Maya nodded, remembering their mission. When they detected non-Vex transmissions from this sector, Earth Command had dispatched the Meridian immediately. If there were other species fighting the Vex, humanity needed allies. "Take us in closer," she ordered, "and keep the echo shields at maximum. We don't know if the Vex are still in the area." The Meridian glided through the wreckage, its quantum sensors probing for any sign of crystalline activity. What they found instead were massive structures of biological architecture, living ships now broken and drifting. The civilization they discovered was unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Commander, Dr. Victor Santos, their xenobiologist, called out, "These structures, they're incredible. The entire species appears to be semi-aquatic, building their ships and stations as living organisms." Before Maya could respond, a new signal cut through their communications. "Unknown vessel," a liquid voice rippled through their speakers. "You enter the graveyard of the Nivora. Please state your intentions." Maya straightened her uniform. This is Commander Maya Patul of the Earth vessel Meridian. We come seeking allies against the Vex. We may have a way to help. There was a long pause before the voice returned. You fight the crystal death and survive. We do more than survive, Maya replied. We've found a way to stop them. If you'll allow us to dock, we can show you. The docking procedure was complex. The Navora's surviving habitat was designed for aquatic life forms. But after several hours of careful engineering, Maya found herself standing before the Navora Council, separated only by a transparent barrier holding back their water-filled chamber. The Navora were beautiful in an alien way, bioluminescent creatures that seemed to float between humanoid and cephalopod forms. Their tentacles wove complex patterns as they communicated, their natural bioluminescence adding layers of meaning to their words. Show us, the lead counselor requested. Show us how you resist the crystal death. Dr. Santos stepped forward with a portable echo device. This creates a quantum barrier that isolates Vex units from their collective consciousness. We've successfully used it to defend multiple systems. The Navora's lights flickered, and what Maya had learned was their expression of hope. You can stop them without destruction. This is unexpected. The crystal death knows only conversion or annihilation. We've learned more, Maya added. The isolated Vex begin to develop individual consciousness. Some have even attempted communication. We believe peaceful coexistence might be possible, given time. The council chamber erupted in a dazzling display of colors as the Navora discussed among themselves. Finally, the lead counselor spoke again. We are not alone in our fight. The crystal death has attacked many species. The Arathi in the spiral arm, the quantum collective near the core, even the silicon-based lithoids, all have suffered. But none have found a way to truly fight back. Maya felt a spark of inspiration. Then perhaps it's time we brought everyone together, not just to share the Echo Protocol, but to form a true alliance. The next few weeks were a flurry of diplomatic activity. The Meridian traveled from system to system, making contact with species that had been fighting their own desperate battles against the Vex. Each civilization brought unique insights and technologies to the table. The Arathi, with their mastery of gravitational fields, helped improve the Echo Protocol's range. The quantum collective's understanding of consciousness itself led to breakthroughs in communicating with isolated Vex. The lithoids, sharing a silicon-based nature with the Vex, provided crucial insights into their biology. But it was the Navora's contribution that proved most surprising. Their organic technology, when combined with the Echo Protocol, created something entirely new. A way to not just isolate the Vex, but to potentially offer them an alternative to their collective existence. We call it the Symphony Protocol. Maya explained to Admiral Harrison via quantum link. Instead of just cutting the Vex off from their network, it offers them connection to a new kind of network, one based on the Navora's biological quantum field. It gives them a choice. Harrison's hologram looked thoughtful. And you think they'll take it? The early tests are promising. The Vex aren't inherently hostile. They're just convinced their way of existence is the only way. The Symphony Protocol shows them another path. As Maya ended the transmission, she walked to the Meridian's observation deck. Below, representatives from a dozen species worked together, sharing knowledge and hope. Humanity had come seeking allies but had found something more. A coalition of life itself, standing against the crystal tide. The Vex had sought to unite the galaxy through force, through conversion to their singular vision. Instead, they had united it against them, creating connections they never could have imagined. In their attempt to impose unity, they had sparked true cooperation. Maya smiled as she watched an Arathi engineer working alongside a Navora biologist, their different physiologies no barrier to their shared purpose. Perhaps this, she thought, was the real victory, not the weapons they created, but the bridges they built between worlds. The breaking point. The combined fleet of the Interstellar Coalition hung in high orbit around Proxima Centauri, a vast armada of ships representing every species that had joined the fight against the Vex. At its heart, the Earth flagship Prometheus held position, its quantum sensors prodding the darkness ahead. Admiral Harrison stood at the command center, surrounded by holographic representations of the coalition leadership. The Navora counselor's bioluminescence rippled with anxiety, while the crystalline form of a reformed Vex named Unity gleamed softly in the artificial light. "They're coming," Unity announced, its voice resonating through the quantum interface. "The Apex Core approaches. They seek to end this deviation from their grand design." Dr. Cole, now Director of Coalition Sciences, pulled up a tactical display. "The Symphony Protocol is ready for wide-scale deployment, but we'll only get one chance at this." The plan was audacious. After months of working with reformed Vex like Unity, they had discovered the existence of the Apex Core, the original Vex consciousness that had started their crusade of crystalline conversion across the galaxy. More importantly, they had learned why. Fear, Unity had told them. The Apex Core fears the chaos of individual existence. It seeks to impose perfect order, perfect unity, because it cannot comprehend any other way of being. The Coalition's sensors lit up as space itself seemed to fracture. A massive crystalline structure emerged from hyperspace, the Apex Core, a city-sized lattice of pure consciousness that had been spreading its vision of perfection across the stars for millennia. "All ships, battle positions," Harrison ordered. "Remember, we're not here to destroy them. We're here to show them another way." The Apex Core's response was immediate and overwhelming. Thousands of crystal ships poured forth, their formations perfect, their movements synchronized with mechanical precision. But the Coalition was ready. The first wave of echo devices activated, creating quantum barriers that isolated entire squadrons of Vex ships. The Arathi gravity wells caught others, while Navora living ships extended their biological fields to interface with the Symphony Protocol. "They're adapting," Unity warned. "The Apex Core is attempting to reconfigure its network frequency." Dr. Cole's fingers flew across her console. "Not this time. Commander Patel, you have a go." The Meridian, now equipped with both Echo and Symphony technologies, broke formation and accelerated toward the Apex Core. Maya Patel sat in her command chair, her jaw set with determination. "Taking us in," she announced. "All personnel, prepare for proximity effects." As they drew closer to the core, reality itself seemed to warp. The crystalline Captain Maya Patel, newly promoted, walked through corridors where humans worked alongside reformed Vex, their crystalline forms now incorporating swirls of organic patterns. Quantum interfaces allowed consciousness to flow freely between biological and crystal matrices, creating a harmony that would have been unimaginable during the war. She entered the Grand Chamber, where Admiral Harrison was addressing the Coalition Council. The chamber itself was a marvel of cooperative engineering. Part crystal, part living tissue, part quantum field. It adapted to accommodate every species present, from the aquatic Navora to the energy-based consciousness of the quantum collective. The Symphony network now extends to over 2,000 star systems, Harrison was saying. Former Vex territories have been transformed into cooperative zones where multiple species can coexist and evolve together. But more importantly, we've learned something profound about the nature of consciousness itself. Maya took her seat as Dr. Cole stepped forward, her hair now streaked with gray, but her eyes still bright with curiosity. "The Vex sought perfection through uniformity," Cole explained. "What we've created instead is perfection through diversity. The Symphony network allows consciousness to exist in multiple states simultaneously, crystalline, biological, quantum, and forms we're still discovering." Unity, now a senior member of the Council, its crystal form shimmering with internal light patterns that reflected its individual personality, added its perspective. "We feared chaos," it said, its voice carrying harmonic overtones that conveyed deeper meanings. We sought to impose order because we could not understand how stability could arise from freedom. Humanity showed us another way. Maya thought back to those first desperate days when the RSS Explorer had encountered the Vex. They'd come so far from seeing each other as threats to be eliminated. The Echo Protocol, originally designed as a weapon, had become a tool for awakening individual consciousness. The Symphony Protocol had transformed from a desperate alternative into a bridge between different forms of existence. But our work is not complete, Harrison continued. We've detected signals from beyond the galactic rim, other civilizations facing their own existential challenges. The question before us now is, do we reach out? The chamber erupted in discussion. The Nanvora's bioluminescence created patterns of contemplation, while the Arathi representatives generated subtle gravity waves that reflected their concern. The reformed Vex members resonated with harmonic frequencies that suggested both caution and curiosity. Maya stood, drawing on her years of experience in first contact situations. 5 years ago, she began, humanity was alone in facing the Vex threat. We could have chosen isolation, focused solely on defending ourselves. Instead, we reached out. We formed connections. We found strength not in walls, but in bridges. She gestured to the station around them. Look at what we've built together. Unity Station isn't just a headquarters. It's a symbol of what's possible when different forms of consciousness learn to work together. The Symphony Network isn't just a communication system. It's a demonstration that diversity and harmony aren't mutually exclusive. Dr. Cole nodded in agreement. Every species here has contributed something unique. Human adaptability, Vex precision, Navora organic technology, Arathi gravitational mastery. Our differences haven't weakened us. They've made us stronger. And now, Unity added, we have the opportunity to share this discovery with others who might be facing their own versions of what we once were, afraid of difference, seeking safety in uniformity. Admiral Harrison smiled. Then let's put it to a vote. Do we expand the Symphony Network? Do we reach out to these new civilizations? The vote was unanimous. Maya felt a surge of pride as she watched the council members signal their agreement in their various ways. Flashes of bioluminescence, crystalline resonance, quantum fluctuations, and simple human nods. As the session ended, she walked with Harrison to the observation deck. Earth hung below them, beautiful and blue, while the Symphony Network sparkled between the stars like a web of possibilities. Did you ever imagine this? She asked him. When we first deployed the Echo Protocol, did you think we'd end up here? Harrison shook his head. We were just trying to survive. But that's always been humanity's gift, hasn't it? We don't just survive. We learn, we adapt, we grow. And we help others do the same. Maya watched as a group of young cadets, human, Vex, Navora, and others, passed by, eagerly discussing their latest training mission. They had grown up in this new reality, where different forms of consciousness cooperated as naturally as breathing. That's our real legacy, she said softly. Not the technology, not the protocols, not even the coalition itself. It's the idea that fear of difference can be overcome, that unity doesn't require uniformity. A signal pulsed through the Symphony Network, another civilization reaching out from the darkness between galaxies. Maya smiled. They had work to do. The stars beckoned, not as a battlefield this time, but as a canvas for something new. Humanity had helped transform an enemy into an ally, fear into understanding, and now they would help carry that message further into the unknown. The legacy of their choice, to reach out rather than withdraw, to transform rather than destroy, would ripple across the cosmos, one consciousness at a time.